After flying in from Lalibela in the north, I spent a couple of nights in the capital, Addis Ababa. My next intention was to head south, to view the wildlife of the Bali Mountain National Park and Lake Awassa, see my Wild Ethiopia videos. For the people of the south, keep on viewing now. To catch my bus, I headed to the Meskel Square terminal in central Addis. This is the view from my seat in another Ethio bus. Even here there are goats. Just over a month after sitting in that bus, I was heading up this terrible road to visit a Dorze village. My guide asked the driver to stop by this moringa tree. This tree is extremely important to the people of the south and is said to supplement the diet of some 5 million people. When dried, the leaves are sold in boxes and are said to have various medicinal uses. Torrential rain running off the hillsides had damaged the road, but the bus was still running. Despite the terrible state of the road, we eventually managed to reach the Dorze village. I'm standing in front of a typical Dorze hut, which is actually a mobile home. It's made of bamboo and it can be picked up by around 60 people and moved to another location when they feel like moving the place. It's thatched with enset leaves. We'll take a closer look at living enset plants in a minute. The slightly smaller hut up ahead is for the exclusive use of honeymoon couples. They can spend up to 3 months here. And this is the rest of the village with more normal sized huts. And back to the hut I just came out of. With their rather ear-like top vents, these huts are said to resemble an elephant's head. The Dorze people are famous for their weaving skills.
Different job. The man is a weaving, woman is spinning cotton.
Yeah.
So also here the start takes the man's 7, the woman is spinning 9.
It's the men who perform with the looms. Well, the women in the background there do the spinning.
So it's the meaning, this is the black is a people, so it's the red is the blood,
Yes.
so it's the yellow is the future.
Okay.
So it's, you call it dunguza.
Yes, I understand. Next, I was shown how the enset leaves, also known as false banana, are used for food as well as for thatching the huts.
The green one is, it becomes change the color.
So you use a little bit each time?
Yeah. So
Yeah, okay, thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much. Beaucoup is a lot. J'ai filming.
Yes. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. When it's ready, it's eaten with honey and local spices. The meal is rounded off with a toast in a fiery local spirit. Going back down to Arba Minch, I filmed the terrible state of the road. As in many parts of Ethiopia, if you need broken stone for building work, you have to do it the hard way. Back in Arba Minch, I was looking forward to heading southward next day. Next morning, we soon came upon the first huts of the Konso people, all along the roadside. Before visiting a Konso village, we stopped for a meal. What they're eating is injera, the staple diet. Injera is like a large pancake made from fermented teff flour and usually shared. I'm not joining in because I find it very sour and unpalatable. There's a story, maybe apocryphal, that a foreign tourist once mistook it for the tablecloth. On the way up to visit a hilltop fortified village, we found the local villagers harvesting teff. This is the grain from which injera is made. Teff is perfect for this area because it's more drought and disease resistant than most other grains. The grains are extremely tiny, about 3,000 to the gram. Teff flour is extremely healthy. It's high in fibre and free of gluten. This means that people with celiac disease are free to eat it. So let's have another quick look at injera being eaten. Always with the hands, using a piece of injera to mop up the food. And so I followed my guides up through the walls of the fortified village. These fortifications were needed against attack from rival tribes. The animals share the village with the people. This is a moringa tree, very, very useful.
What are your profession?
Even the young women are extremely strong. I couldn't even lift this bundle off the ground. Our next stop was in the market Al-Duba in the lower Omo Valley. This market is mainly attended by people from the surrounding Hammer villages. The Hammer women are characterised by the ochre that they rub into their hair. Here we get a glimpse of some of the ochre powder actually being sold. These are the leaves of the moringa tree with its multiple uses. One of the main attractions of the market is to get together and engage in some serious drinking of the local brews.
Beer, you see?
Yeah. The few banner girls present were easily recognised by their distinctive costumes. On the way south to my guide's village of Turami, the road was terrible. Thankfully, at one point, we encountered this grader, which was improving matters enormously. At this time of the evening, the village of Turami was populated by few people, but hordes of goats. For a small payment, one of the local women gave us a demonstration of how she applies the ochre powder to her hair. The whole village was kept spotlessly clean, not a single speck of litter in sight. Here is even the goat pen that's being swept out. Leaving was complicated by the fact the engine wouldn't start, but there were plenty of volunteers to push. Next day found me heading back north. With my near empty vehicle, I wasn't prepared to pass people waiting for a lift on the roadside, so we soon filled up. As usual when travelling in Ethiopia, we had to thread our way through herds of cattle and goats roaming along the road. When heading back north through Konso country, I noticed how almost every hillside had been beautifully terraced for cultivation. This is enormously important for the long-term viability of the land. The terracing greatly reduces erosion and consequent loss of topsoil during heavy rains. This far north, it was Konso people we were picking up. This is typical Konso dress. A big thanks to my excellent guide Mullican for filming this. And this.